Hey there, Nick here. So the date is July 15th, 2025, and I am going to be recording how we use Claude, our friendly AI copy generator, in July 2025. AI updates quickly, so we have to update these videos regularly. So this is the latest installment of this training. So if you found one earlier, it's later than 2025. There might be a new one in there, but we'll try to keep these up to date. So the first thing is, once you set up Claude, okay, and I want you to actually get the Pro plan. So there's a couple of different plans that are available through Claude. You have the free version, right? We have the Pro, and then we have the Max. For you, I want you to do the individual, and I want you to do the Pro, okay? Team is good if you need to share it with other people, give them access. We probably don't need to do that, so I want to get the individual Pro plan. As of July, it's $17 a month, okay? And what I want you to do is, once you open up Claude, I want you to head over into projects. It's Claude.ai/projects. You should see a button on the left that says projects. And then what I want you to do is click new project. So for your name, depending on what you want it to do, I'll just do copywriting genie, right? And I create the project. So anytime you return to this project, okay, you'll notice that it saves it. So I've got projects for each one of my clients, right? I have projects for my programs I'm building. I have one for my newsletters. Heck, I even have one for my human design, right? So whenever I have like a new idea or something I'm consistently working on, I'll go ahead and spin up a new project. And the advantage of having a project is that it saves all of your project knowledge. So in this area, we can upload different knowledge that the AI can then pull from, okay? So I'm gonna teach you how I like to connect my project knowledge. So what you do is you go over to the right, and in the past, what we do is just like upload the PDFs directly, right? So if you had like a PDF or some information, or maybe it's a meeting transcript, you could just upload that, usually in text format. But the new way to do it is to click into Google Drive, right? And what it's going to allow us to do is actually to create a connection between Claude and our actual Google Drive. So this is super useful for a couple of different reasons, because what we can then do is update our files inside Google Drive. We can also add in new files, and Claude is going to be able to pull from those files directly. So in the past, we would go in, we would upload each individual file one by one. But nowadays, what we want to do is to connect our Google Drive, so we can just update the files inside of the drive, and then we can connect them into Claude. It makes updating, keeping things up to date way easier, and it also just simplifies our whole workflow, because when you have a Claude project in the past that just has static files, we don't really know what's in there. They're kind of hard to open up and to read, versus like with this new connection, it's gonna make our lives a lot easier. So I'm just gonna pause it for a second while the connection happens. Sometimes there is an issue. Have patience, okay? You only need to connect Google Drive once. And I'm just gonna pause it to let the connection complete. Okay, so now that the Claude Google Drive connection is complete, what I can do is I can go in here, and you'll notice that Google Drive now has a toggle, right? And I can actually now connect files from my Google Drive directly to my Claude project. So inside of my Google Drive, you can see I've got Chris Elevate Tone of Voice. Chris is somebody we are building a program with. Inside of this file, we have his tone of voice, right? That is basically a summary of how he likes to speak, right? So it's a no-nonsense teaching style, da-da-da-da-da. So what I can do is go into my project knowledge, click plus, click Google Drive, and then you'll see Chris Elevate Tone of Voice, which is in my recents. But even if you can't see the file inside of your recents, you can simply search the files and everything connected into the Google Drive. And so this is really useful, because instead of me having to go into the project file and update it, I can just update it directly inside of my Google Drive. So let's suppose I wanted to change up the voice. Let's suppose I want to change up anything around this file or any other files, I can just do it inside of Google Drive. And then it saves me the step of updating it inside of Claude. So this is really nifty. So now I can do things like write me a rewrite of this landing page using and you always want to use the exact name, the Chris Elevate tone of voice inside of the project knowledge. So Claude is going to know that you are referencing a file inside of its project knowledge. And you can actually, I'll just go ahead and grab the copy from our website, pop it in here, and then I can just reference that. And now it's going to rewrite using that file as a guide. So instead of us just uploading files directly, I highly recommend you actually use the Google Drive integration, do everything inside of Google Docs that you want to reference, and then upload those into Claude. So you can notice that's taking a much straight line tone of voice, and it's literally rewriting it using that prompt. So what I usually like to do is when I start a project, I'll upload, you can have one that's like your tone of voice, right? So this is a description of how you want the AI to speak in a way that is like you. This usually is crafted over time. You might not know this right away, but eventually you do develop a sort of voice. Another thing that I like to do is if you have an offer page, kind of like we have, I'll usually just grab all that copy and then I will turn that into a new Google Doc. I'll just put it in here and call it Light School Com Sales Page Copy, right? I can just put all that in, right? And then it can actually reference all of that text, right? I can go back to Claude, again, go to Google Drive, and then I can put in, there you go. And there's my sales page copy. So whenever we create new resources, every single time I open up Copywriting Genie, it's going to always have these sources for reference, right? So when I'm creating projects, this is why I have one for newsletters, right? In my newsletters, I've uploaded the subject lines I like and my tone of voice, right? When it comes to maybe you have a client that you like to work with, right? You could upload things like their transcripts, right? From a really intense coaching session. You can upload their mission statement. You can upload whatever. And it's a really nice way to just organize the different projects we're working on. So every time we come back, we're always referencing the same material. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. Another couple cool features, and if you're familiar with AI, you might already know this, but you can also upload screenshots or files. So you can do PDFs, you can do pictures, and the AI will actually analyze those using its prompt. The other cool thing that Claude Pro introduces is research. So what it does is that when you click this button, any question you ask it, it'll actually take more time, and it can take up to a couple of minutes to research that subject in depth. So I'll usually use this if I'm really musing on something or I want to go deep on a specific subject. But most of the time I'm using Claude for copywriting. So what we want to do is enhance it, not only with the copy we've written in the past, right, but also arm it with a tone of voice so that it has a sense of who we are and how we like to speak, right? And if you ever want to just grab any file, you literally just call it out by name. Be like, you can be like rewrite Light School Sales Page Copy in the tone of voice from Chris Elevate tone of voice in your project knowledge. So if you phrase it this way, Claude will very confidently go ahead and grab those files and reference them. And it makes it super easy for us to continually, add in new files, add in old files, update existing files. So we're always crafting our AI copywriter more and more to our liking as it pertains to the specific projects we are using it for. So beyond the Google Drive connection, there's a lot of other cool ones. But for copywriting, I feel like Google Drive is the best. This is only the beginning of integrations into this incredible tool. So when more pop up that are useful, I will be making tutorials on those too. But I just wanted to give you a 2025 refresh of how we use the Claude AI copywriter to write really hard-hitting, awesome copy using what we already have. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. You know me if you found this video. Sending you lots of love. Thanks.